And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess. I keep forgetting when I'm in love anymore. I keep forgetting.
Okay. Let's see. We got today, I am the Blue Collar Intellectual. Let me set us up with a better feed. Hold up. Sorry, people. Like I said, I am the Blue Collar Intellectual, which means I do have a job. I do stuff during the daytime. I don't live on Twitter. All right. Let's go in real quick and all right, there. Wanted to give you guys a much better picture. And let's go from there today. So, okay. So, we're on the Blue Collar Intellectual podcast again. I want to give you guys a little bit different look today, and I'll let you see a different version of me. Don't worry, I'm still the same me. Still the Blue Collar Intellectual. I'm still wearing Timbs. Okay. Nothing has changed. However, I feel like we just got a slap in the face today. We definitely just got a slap in the face today. Today, the stimulus bill just got passed. And from what I've read so far, and we are very limited in our access to it because, once again, Congress decided to come out with a bill that they weren't going to tell us what was in it. And to be honest, most of them have no idea what's in it. Most of Congress has no idea what's in this bill. It's full of pork. It contributes in no way successfully to helping the average everyday citizen. Of course, they have PPE and stuff like that, PPP and all that in there. However, the $600 was a slap in the face. Now, personally, I don't care so much about the $600. It's more so, if you look at the bill, both parties saw fit to load it up with their typical level of cronyism. It is laden with pork. It is utterly insulting at every level. The bill itself had and I'm going to pull up some of this pork for you guys. The bill itself had a whole bunch of spending towards special interest groups and things of that sort to make their donors happy. And to me, I view that as an overt slap in the face when it comes to what we've witnessed these past few weeks and throughout this entire year. And I was pissed off when the original stimulus came out. When the original stimulus came out, I was utterly insulted. Because what I saw was an excuse that politicians use. As we all know, they love to use chaos to justify their most recent transactions against U.S. citizenry. And while watching this transpire with the first stimulus bill. And granted, I will admit, now I'm not saying it would have affected my choice, but I will admit Donald Trump was in a hairy situation with the first stimulus bill because of what was going on. The country was shutting down. And while he shut down foreign travel and travel from the European Union and China, that does not change the fact that the state governments shut down their own individual government. So I like to do this thing where I blame politicians for directly what they can control and not what other politicians do. I think that's a reasonable standard. And watching what happened with the first stimulus package, I'm going to take these off so you can see my face because my glasses are glowing. I like to blame politicians for only what they can actually do. Now, I can give a president props for helping write a bill. If I know that they wrote it, I can give them props for evangelizing and pushing a bill. I can give them props for signing a good bill or signing a bad bill. Not evangelizing, not getting behind something, trying to shut something down. I give politicians a lot of shit universally for writing executive orders because most of them are unconstitutional to begin with. Okay, now that being said, I understand that Democrats are going to do what Democrats do. Republicans are going to do what Republicans do. Neither one of them agree on a whole lot of much, except for the fact that they would rather not have to listen to us, the average everyday voter, which is where I think the majority of voters, we actually agree on a lot more than what they do. Or I should say, we actually agree on a lot more when we speak to each other. And most of the arguments that we have are on the terms of how the punditry and politicians argue with each other, which is largely a whole lot of show to keep us distracted while they screw us without any remorse and without the courtesy of at least taking us out to dinner first. So that first stimulus bill was laden with pork projects to send money to arts foundations, the Candy Arts Center, the Smithsonian, national parks and stuff. Now, bear in mind, all of these were funded in the yearly budget. And with the country and the state being shut down, that means for most of them, for like the Candy Arts Center, the only person that should be in that building if the government shut down is the janitor. They laid off all their staff. As far as the national parks, I mean, you got a couple park rangers, but that doesn't take re-upping the budget. Okay, a lot of these state parks don't even make their guests and things traveling to the park barely factors into their budget based on the fact that they're always running in a continuous deficit. And that goes for a whole lot of government programs. And the government does the same thing with military spending. As you see, Donald Trump is getting close to leaving office. And you know what, that's you can have your own personal issues with that. I don't care one way or the other. The issue is he looks like he's on the way out, and all of a sudden military spending is not something people are arguing on. Again, there are many issues that were brought to the table during his presidency where apparently they were an issue, but now they're not an issue now that he's leaving. And as I'm looking at the stimulus bill, I see so much. I think it was, I just had it earlier, it was like 1.2 trillion or something, or 1.2 billion for the Smithsonian, and it is just absolutely astronomical. The fact that this is something that was even considered. It honestly makes me wonder how we got here. I'm trying to look it up so I can give you guys the actual numbers right now. because I had it pulled up and then my phone decided to reboot. By the way, these new Samsungs are absolutely spectacular. If it weren't for the fact that it likes to reboot on its own, so that's not cool. As I said, well, as you were. As today has continued, and as I pull this up so that I can reference to you guys properly, I can give you guys the proper references. I don't want to be disingenuous about how much we're being screwed. I want to be completely honest and on point with the numbers that I saw so far. Here it is. So the money that's in it so far, $26.4 million for the Kennedy Center. Well, we already did that once, so there's no reason to do it again. $1 billion for the Smithsonian. Yeah, that's completely unnecessary. The National Art Gallery, $154 million. National Arts and Humanities, $167 million. The Wilson Center, $14 million. Now, here's where it gets really messed up. Now, this is what I say. This is bipartisan. By the way, this foreign aid, don't think this is just the Democrats. The Republicans are on with this too. All the cronies in Washington are in on this. Okay, so no Republican is safe under this. All right, you got Egypt, $1.3 billion. Sudan, $700 million. Ukraine, $453 million. Israel, $500 million. Now, the Democrats are only flipping out about the Israel. I just saw a whole bunch of stories stream across my page about Democrats being pissed about the Israel money that's in it. Now, I don't think if we're passing a stimulus and it was supposed to be for COVID-19, it should have nothing to do with anything but COVID-19. That should be pretty freaking reasonable to the average everyday person. Okay, I think that's something that we can all agree on is if you're passing a bill and you say it's for one thing, it should be for that one thing, not for everything else that you want to slide in there and hope that nobody catches it. All right, I'm hoping that with all this information that we have at our fingertips on a regular basis and the amount of FOIA requests that are filed on a regular basis, that we won't end up in a situation where we continue to go through administration after administration not paying attention. They can continue to pull the wool over our eyes. Anyone who had anything to do with lying to you and telling you they were giving you one thing and giving you the exact opposite deserves to be primaried out of office. And I pray to God that you all completely agree with that. And that is a sentiment that I echo bipartisanly. Okay. Now, next up after Israel, Nepal, $130 million. Burma, $135 million. Cambodia, $85.5 million. Pakistan, $25 million. Asia, RIA, that's $1.4 billion. And, of course, the American people, you got $600. Yay! You know, you could have a night out at the club. Maybe get drunk, go blow it at Vegas or on a strip or whatever. But as far as a whole country that was forcibly closed down, now I'm not for welfare and I'm not for income, wealth redistribution and stuff like that. I'm not for capping people's income. I don't think you get the same level of performance when you tell somebody they can only reach so high. Okay. However, looking at all this going on and seeing how we just got royally screwed. And there's some other issues I'm going to get into today because this is not something that is. This is not the only thing that's happening in our government right now. And I want everyone to know I am a conservative, 100%. Okay, straight across the board, founding principles, all that. Not a red pill conservative. I've been a conservative my entire life. So I want you to know that, so that if you you can discount anything that I'm saying. And go ahead and feel free to comment if you got a question. I don't mind answering questions. The one thing I do not do on here, just to give you fair warning, is I do not defend politicians. I will not defend Trump to people that hate Trump. I will not defend Biden to people that hate Biden, or Obama, or anybody else. I despise fanboy politics. I think they're largely counterproductive, and they lead people to not being able to make rational decisions and criticize their elected officials when necessary and when warranted. And I will not defend parties. I'm not going to do the Democrat versus Republican. My party's better than yours. We ain't throwing up gang signs on here, and I hate the political gang banging, and I'm not going to let you crip walk all over my page. However, feel free to leave comments in the comment section on the video. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, retweet. Tell your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, if you're still talking to your dad, or you don't have daddy issues or whatever. Again, so this stimulus being a complete slap in the face, I still say Donald Trump, in regards to what he can do. Now, I understand in the beginning of the administration, he probably, and after speaking to people within the administration, he felt as if he had to sign the stimulus bill. And I understand that. That's a natural instinct. It's the beginning of an election year, and the election cycle is already 9 months in at that point, at least. And it looks like if you don't sign the stimulus bill, you're a heartless bastard, and you're going to be beat over the head with it for the rest of the election cycle. However, I think, and I still think this, he got bad advice from the people in D.C. For a man who ran on draining the swamp, he would have regained credibility by taking that original stimulus bill to the podium and to the Oval Office, and right at the Resolute desk, redline every single piece of pork and unnecessary spending that it was laden with. Military spending, foreign aid, social pet projects, national candy friggin' center for the arts and stuff. None of that had to do with COVID. This should have been about getting businesses to the point where they could operate safely. It should have been about padding them for that first couple weeks to, stop the flatten the curve. 280 days later, that is when we should have signed a stimulus bill, and it should have been extremely focused, surgical, not a sledgehammer, but a scalpel. And it should have put money in the pockets of individuals, because the only people who know how to spend your money properly is you. That's what our country is built on, is individual agency, the freedom and the rights and liberty of the individual, and the pursuit of happiness, all the way up until your pursuit of happiness infringes upon my rights to do the exact same. And I mean active infringement, not passive aggressive infringement. All right. Now, that being said, he signed the stimulus bill. All right, it's understandable. Okay. I think conservatives and Democrats alike were willing to do what was needed to get the country past the initial appearance of the virus. And as the virus has come out, we've had more and more information about it. Hi, sis. I love you too. As the virus has come out, we have gotten more information about it. Apparently, China knew about it as early as, I'm seeing speculation, August, September, and definitely October, because they shut down travel within their own country, but they still allowed international travel abroad. Now, that being said, that means that there were months where international travel was allowed here from a hotspot where the virus originated to the United States. So it was likely spreading here, and many people came in contact with it far before we ever started, before there was ever a WHO virus code for it. And there are two codes for it. There's one that's very specific and broad. You died from the virus itself. The virus is what killed you. Then there's one where you died with the virus, and that could be confirmed or unconfirmed, but it is not specifically what killed you. It may have been a contributing factor, or it may have been a completely asymptomatic case, and you died in a motorcycle accident, but you had COVID, because that's happened too. That's actually happened quite a lot. I just saw a recent study. I believe it was USA Today was tracking our. Now, I could be wrong. Again, I've been up for since about 3 a.m. this morning, 4 a.m. So bear with me. I'm not working on a whole lot of sleep. I can't remember the article. I'll just say that, but they were tracking the yearly amount of deaths that we've had in this country for the last couple of years, and the amount of deaths we've had this year, and we're still right on track. We're still right on track. Now, last I looked, we were barely under it. I believe right now we might be barely over it. Okay, so a little bit of realism. Let's be rational and see that the virus has been politicized, and it's been politicized mostly by, I mean, let's face it, anyone who can be completely rational, and again, I'm not going to defend Donald Trump because that's not what I do. He's a grown-ass man. He can defend himself. But anyone with any remote level of common sense can see that the media is not unbiasedly reporting on Donald Trump and has actively blamed him from everything. As a matter of fact, in April of 2016, there were already, before he received the Republican nomination, there were already stories coming out about how to actually impeach this man. And whether you agree with them or not, that is completely irrelevant from the point that I'm making, in which the media is not unbiasedly reporting on him. And as conservatives are reactionary as usual, and Republicans are reactionary as usual, as one of the characteristics of conservatism, we defend him even when he deserves to be criticized. Okay, and I think any rational person could understand and agree with that statement as well. In the fervor to both defend and cast doubt and blame Donald Trump, we had the mass. Originally, Dr. Fauci said, and the Surgeon General, Jerome, I can't remember his last name at the moment, but Dr. Fauci and the Surgeon General had both said, you don't need a mask, don't worry about masks or whatever. And then they came out and said that that was specifically because they did not want a run on masks, which would end up leaving none for the essential workers that were going to need a supply, because we didn't have a ready supply of them at the time. Okay. Then they came out and they said that masks were warranted. And I don't care what your personal issues with masks are, whether you decide to wear one, whether you don't. I don't most of the time. I do it when I have to go places. When a private business requires me to wear a mask to go in, they're a private business. I have no problem with that. What I have an issue with is government enforcing mask mandates when I'm walking outside with my kids in a park or something stupid like that, or requiring that I wear them in a car. You look like a weirdo, like a complete dupe wearing a mask in a car, driving alone. All right, that's it just doesn't make any sense. It's like walking around with a leash around, with a collar and a leash around your neck, but nobody's holding the damn leash. You look stupid. Okay. That being said, We obviously know that the virus was politicized. Masks were politicized because the left said that masks were mandatory, and it was this and that and the other. The right immediately, in a reactionary fashion, as usual, cast doubt on all masks. No, all masks are stupid. Don't wear a mask. Anti-masker. Immediately. Donald Trump, right before Dr. Fauci echoed the exact same thing, talked about hydroxychloroquine and how it showed promise. Dr. Fauci comes out, says, yes, it shows promise. And he went into it, and it showed promise in multiple different areas. This is not a new vaccine. We have been using it for 60 years. All right? People get it all the damn time. We made a big deal out of nothing. Now, it doesn't, and then the right came out, and they did the exact opposite of the Democrats and the left, when the left said, oh my God, Trump is trying to kill you, hydroxychloroquine will kill you. The 1% of people that have an issue with it, an allergic reaction, could die. Oh my God. Oh my God. Something that actually showed promise when you combine hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin and zinc, it showed promise. And that's exactly what Dr. Fauci said, but we politicized the virus to the point where nobody could think rationally, and we all immediately went to our corners and started trying to kill each other with the talking points that were provided to us by Establishment Inc. Okay? That's my imagination for those of you that don't understand the reference. So Conservative Inc. gave, not Conservative Inc., Establishment Inc. gave us talking points, and we immediately tried to bludgeon each other over the head with them. And the Establishment Incorporated is what I call the Democrat Inc. and Republican Inc. Incorporated on both sides of the aisle. Okay. The establishment in each party is really not much different. It is the establishment in DC as a whole, okay? And that extends to crony corporate entities and bureaucrats and all of the like that are status at heart. So, again, let me continue. As we saw the virus be politicized, and we saw that nobody could make a rational decision based on our inability to have genuine conversations with each other, because we were scared and we were bludgeoning each other over the head with talking points. And the media on both sides used this to their advantage. One, to push the anti-mask, and hydroxychloroquine is the bee's knees that is going to save us all, and acted like it was the cure, and it was cast down by Jesus Christ himself. And then you had the left that made it seem like it was poison, and you just bit the apple. Satan gave you the apple and you bit it, and you were going to die, and orange conservative Jesus is killing the world. All right. Neither of which were valid criticisms, neither of which were valid positions to take. Neither on masks, nor were they on the hydroxychloroquine. The most valid criticisms, the most valid arguments we had were over the efficacy of lockdowns. Now, the efficacy of lockdowns have turned out statistically, from what every country in the world is showing so far, including our own CDC and CDC stats, have shown that the lockdowns have had a nil effect. States that didn't lock down didn't have as many issues. States that did lock down still had issues. New York still has, I believe, the highest death toll out of any state in the country. Florida, who has a very similar population, had one of the lowest. Not one of the lowest, but much, much lower. Okay. I think theirs is in the thousands. New York's is in like the 10,000s or something like that. So there's a comparison for you. And again, that's not I'm not comparing one party's response to another, because I think governors failed and succeeded individually. All right. I think there are some governors that did a good job, and there's some governors that did a bad job. There's some cities that did a good job, and some cities that did a bad job. And I don't think relegating it to as being as unnuanced and simple as party affiliation decides everything to be a genuine discussion that is going to move us forward and find any solution in any way, shape, or form. Now, as I've said before, I am running in this next election in New Hampshire's 1st congressional district. I'm running as a Republican because I'm a conservative, okay? And I aim to fix the Republican Party. That is my goal, is to make the Republican Party be what it could be, to apply the principles equally, to engage with communities we've ignored, to not simply relegate our political discourse to talking points. Okay? I don't want to continue to live in this world where we can't have nuanced discussions with each other. And I want to be focused on moving the ball forward, not backward. In this continuous, it's like little girls slapping each other in the back seat of the car, and you're trying to scream at them on a road trip to shut the hell up. That's how the parties are acting right now. With these lockdowns, as they've continued, some states have opened up and they've seen great progress. Some states didn't. Some states allowed the decisions to be made more locally, which is what I think is the best thing to do. One-off solutions in massive states like New York, where the solution is tailored to New York City, completely ignores the fact that the suburbs and rural areas of the same state are not the same and deal with completely different demographics and completely different situations. Social distancing is much easier once you get outside the city. Even within the city, social distancing is possible. Mass mandates and stuff by private businesses can solve many of the issues that we're dealing with. If we inspire people to do the right thing and we allow them to do the right thing, that's exactly what you'll get. When you end up getting pushback, you get the pushback specifically because you're trying to force a certain scenario. And when you're forcing a certain scenario, you can only go so far before the people you're trying to exercise force against, you're trying to coerce and then apply force, eventually start to push back against you. Okay? That is natural. It's only natural. Because you force. So, as we continue and as we move forward with everything going on right now, and we have this second stimulus, and I already read off to you what's in it, and apparently there's a massive amount of military spending, a massive amount of, and that wasn't even all the foreign aid. There's so much more. There's just only so much that I'm going to take the time to read. Okay, and that wasn't even all the information. I'm getting more information by the minute. The problem that I have right now is I'm not going to get online and try to read all that information in front of you. This is not reading class. I'm sure that after whatever we find out, and whether or not Trump passes it or whatever, I will do another episode on it, and I'll try to get more in depth into it. Okay, again, like I said before, I believe Trump should do a line item veto of the entire, well, I know he can't line item veto, he doesn't have that power, but I believe he should veto the entire thing and red pin all the pork out of it on both sides of the aisle right in front of the American people. It would go a long way to show the authenticity of whether or not he actually is the drain the swamp president, despite the fact that the Republican Party has been actively working against him the entire time. And that's not debatable. I know more about what the party is doing behind closed doors than you. The party has not been supporting them. They've been riding the horse as long as they can till they can shoot it, till they can put it down. All right. So we have this. I want Trump, like I said, to line item the entire thing, take out all the pork, make it clear to Congress that they need to go back, send him a clean bill focused directly on what the individuals in these communities need, protecting the small businesses, getting money in people's hands so that they can get their lives back going, and getting people back to work. And that everything needs to be locally focused, needs to be focused on what we actually need, not what foreign interests need, not what special interests need, not what this lobby group and that lobby group and this government agency and that government agency. This is not the opportunity to pass all the little projects that you could never pass because people are paying attention, because it's budget season. We got screwed. We've been sold a bad bag of goods. Okay. Now I'm going to pivot and I'm going to give you a quick little interlude. Go ahead and check this out. All right, here.
And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. He's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.
I keep forgetting when I'm in love anymore. I keep forgetting.
All right. Again, I'm Julian Aciard. I'm the Blue Collar Intellectual on Twitter and on Facebook and now on Instagram. And you can look me up on YouTube. Again, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when I have a new video coming out. I'm going to start putting up more content on a regular basis and really get into having more conversations like this. Feel free to comment down in the post and talk to me. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it. I do get all the comments right here. And I'm using StreamYard today. It is the best streaming app that I've tried so far. It is well worth it. And I suggest it to anybody just getting into this space. Okay. So as I was saying before, I have something I wanted to discuss today. This morning, or I should say yesterday morning, I woke up to Kimberly Klacik, who is a popular candidate on the conservative side this year. And I've met Kimberly. She seemed like a nice woman. And I met her at the Solutionary Summit in Atlanta. And I had nothing against her personally. I don't know her that deeply to be able to have anything against her personally. I just had a conversation, about maybe a half-hour conversation with her. And she had posted on Twitter, Mitch McConnell's wife is Chinese. Enter, I just post facts. Now, yes, that is a fact. Well, it's not even really a fact because last I checked, she was Taiwanese, if I remember correctly. The problem with that statement is, and she said that it's not racist. It's not a racist statement. I say it is a racist statement. It is a racist statement because she said that it was her criticism of Mitch McConnell's wife having connections with China. On Twitter, you have 140 characters. On Facebook, I believe you have a hell of a lot more. I've seen posts that go on for ridiculous amounts. People think it's funny to do that shit. You're not funny. You're an idiot. However, on Twitter, you have 140 characters to put in a post, and you can make an entire thread where you completely explain the concept that you're trying to get into. It would not have been hard to make a post that was clear cut and concise of what you were trying to get across. You made the main issue, the main portion of your statement, the race of the leader of the Senate Majority Leader's wife. If it wasn't the main tenet, then why mention it? You could have easily said she has shady business deals in China. You could have easily said that she's doing shady stuff behind closed doors. It would not have been hard to actually get into the nitty-gritty and explain your position. But that's not what you did. That's not what you did at all. What you ended up doing was you ended up making a statement that was blatantly racist, and people called you on it. People called you on your blatantly racist statement. Now, I get pissed at this because as conservatives, we spend so much time trying to explain how we're not the real racists. And it even became a talking point, which I think is pretty comical, that we're not the real racists. Democrats are the real racists. Comments like Kimberly Klasick's is exactly why we keep having to defend ourselves from accusations of racism. That is the dumbest freaking thing she could have said. Well, it's not the dumbest thing. I've seen people make some pretty stupid comments on Twitter, but that is pretty fucking stupid. All right? Why would you make the argument the race of the individual you're trying to criticize, and you made the race of his wife the one you're trying to criticize? If you were arguing based on principle and you were arguing based on the shady things that she was doing, you could have easily done just that, and you could have gone much deeper. You could have explained your point very well, and then you know that you were wrong because then you tried to backtrack your statement, and then you tried to step back up and act like you didn't do anything wrong. You did do something wrong. It was a stupid statement to say, "Hey, I phrased it. That's not what I meant." Blah blah blah. No, you doubled down on the stupidity of making a statement that was blatantly about the Speaker of the House's wife. I don't agree with Mitch McConnell on a whole lot. I don't agree with him on a whole lot. But for a candidate that had such a splash in this last election, and I could dissect the campaign and all that, but I'm not gonna do that. You can dig deeper and do that on your own damn time. All right, I don't care about your political fanboy bullshit. Comments like that set us back. Okay, that is right up there with the slaves on a plantation talking point. It puts us in a position where now we have to go back in time to defend a statement that we shouldn't have been making in the first place. A statement that obviously wasn't well thought out. And most of the own the libs statements that we make are not well thought out. And they don't accomplish what we mean to accomplish. There's a reason pundits use them. They have little sound bites and snippets in which they can have discussions and arguments with each other, and they're always trying to trend and go viral on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all that shit and TikTok and stuff. All right, they need that little trending thing. It's also part of how they achieve their fame, and they get to ask for a raise because they've achieved fame and they get a better position within the party or whatever. I don't care about any of that. We don't have discussions like that. And when I run my campaign, I won't have discussions like that with people. Yeah, the only politician I'll be defending is myself. The only principles I'll be defending is conservatism. I won't be defending party line because party line isn't always conservative. The party line shifts based on whoever the top of the ticket is and whatever the platform is that year. And right now, the average voter is populist and trending more constitutional, while the cronies in Washington that fought the populist movement for the last 4 years on the Republican side have not been trending constitutional. They've been going straight towards the cronyism that when the left describes what they believe conservatism is, they're describing cronyism the majority of the time. So the people that they hate are actually the people that ran the Lincoln Project that they believe are the true conservatives. They're not the true conservatives. Most of them are not conservative. They're perfectly happy to do whatever they have to do to be able to still attend the cocktail club, to go to the cocktail lounge and pal around in DC like everybody else. They're all a part of the same club. They all went to the same Ivy League schools. They received the same education. They're from the same areas. They all think the same. They all pal around together. And if you needed someone to explain it to you any further, I mean, just look at it like this. If you call me a freaking racist, we're not friends after this. There's no shaking your hand and laughing and, oh my God, we'll call each other and talk about our kids later. No, you're not going to call me a racist or call me a Nazi and we're still going to be pals. Fuck you. That's normal people shit. We have different conversations. Now, I also believe in the big tent mentality. I believe in that. My 80% friend is not my 20% enemy. I actually live by that. We don't have to agree on everything. We can work as far as we can on the stuff that we do agree on. That statement by Kimberly Klacik, I think it could have actually, if that had happened during the election cycle, election fraud wouldn't have even been a question. We would have lost by such a landslide. It wouldn't have even been contendable. But that's okay. That's okay. I called into both David Webb. I called into Sonny Johnson this morning. She's filling in for Alex Marlowe on Sirius XM Patriot channel 125, and talked with her. I love Queen Sonny. And my statement was about the Kimberly Klacik issue. And one other issue. Republicans have a bad habit. Now, this is something that the Democrats they've done it too. So I don't want you, don't get all in your feels about making a mistake. We can do adult conversations here, and we can be critical of each other. Democrats do this too. They've done it to another degree, and I'll explain when they've done it, so I can go a little bit deeper on it. Republicans have made the mistake of trying to choose the leaders of the black community for the black community. The people that the Republican Party accepts, the people that parrot the talking points, that speak and think like the establishment of the Republican Party, those are the people that they put in front of the black community and say, why can't you be like this guy? That is why we keep getting called Uncle Toms and stuff when we stand up in front of the black community, because the Republican Party does that so often that all of us catch that label. Okay? Now, as for the Democrats have done that too, but they normally do it with white liberals. And I know your natural response is going to be, well, they do it with Al Sharpton. Wrong. Al Sharpton is only kept relevant by the right's need to criticize him every time he says something stupid, which is on a regular basis. Okay? And largely, it goes the same with AOC in her first term. With all this, the random shit that she said in her first term, she probably would have been out of office if the right didn't go gaga over it and keep her on the news cycle the entire time of her first term in office, which made her a rallying cry for the left. And that goes for Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, these freshman congressmen that normally would be out after a single term. But instead, they were able to strengthen their position in Congress. You made them heroes on the left, to the populist left, which is rising. Okay? And when I say populist, I mean actual populism, the dictionary definition of what populism is. I know I had this conversation with another gentleman. He likened it to white supremacy or white nationalism, whatever. I don't relegate populism solely to white nationalism or white supremacy or whatever that is. That's weird. Populism can be an element of any movement, good or bad, and it lands all across the political spectrum at any moment in time. Okay. Now, back to my point. The left has done it typically with has tried to force white liberals upon the black community. Specifically, they did it with Hillary Clinton in 2016. They did it with her in 2008 and 2012. They did it with Barack Obama, or I'm sorry, not Barack Obama, with Joe Biden this time, which is part of the reason why, or actually, that is actually not the reason why he won. He won because the establishment chose him to be the safe candidate to avoid Bernie Sanders. And it just so happened that by putting him in front of us, they were able to give a little bit of nostalgia to the old school Democrats and old school Republicans of this safe old Uncle Joe, while Google had actually stopped and hid traffic on Joe Biden's past. And all the social media companies hid the Hunter Biden story, which, yes, according to exit polls, actually would have affected the outcome of the election, whether you believe it or not. The fact is, there was an investigation that actually preceded the Ukrainian investigation into Donald Trump and the impeachment. So there's that. The fact is that the choosing of a candidate to put in front of us, or a leader to put in front of us, and hoping that we will glom onto that leader and follow them, that's not how it works. The left has achieved most of their success by supporting the leaders that the black community naturally chooses, and that would hold true across any community. All right. The fact is, if the right had really felt so passionate about Mitt Romney in 2012, he would have beat Barack Obama. But we didn't. We didn't. The establishment put him in front of us, but we didn't. No one wanted to go vote for Mitt Romney. He was just a lack of better options. He was the guy that people had at the moment, not the guy that anybody wanted for any moment. And I say this again because I can see the party positioning for likely one of four different people. The party right now is trying to go back to the old establishment, good old boys club, where they get what they want and we get screwed. And the trend right now is towards Ted Cruz, Mitt Romney, Mike Pence, and Ron DeSantis in Florida. Now, out of all of those people, out of all the people in that, Jeff Charles is starting stuff on Twitter, y'all. Shout out to Jeff. If you don't know who Jeff Charles is, go to my YouTube channel, go to my YouTube page, and catch out the second episode 2 of the Blue Collar Intellectual podcast. He's a writer for Red State and Liberty Nation. Great writer. But I digress. The populist movement in both parties, they're going to try and put Mitt Romney back in front of us, and it will be unsuccessful. Mitt Romney cannot carry the MAGA base. He can't do it because we don't like him. He just spent 4 years being anti-MAGA. He cannot come out as the MAGA savior and carry the populist movement, and you cannot win against the machine on the left without the populist movement. It's not possible. The old school Republican way of attrition and trying to the old school Republican way of trying to you're trying to force a certain the old school Republican way of trying to I should say play defense and not evangelize, play it safe, only protect the red districts, not go out for new districts that could have actually changed things. Not evangelize, play it safe, only protect the red districts, not go out. That methodology has to die. The defensive strategy has to die. No war can be won on defense alone. If you don't believe me, ask the Spartans. Call up Leonidas and the rest of the boys and their leather underwear, and that'll help you out. All my Marine buddies who may be watching this, don't talk shit about me drinking wine, all right? I ran out of bourbon. Okay, fuck you. My point is the new strategy that some of the new strategies that Donald Trump employed worked. All right, reaching out to minority communities actually would have been far more successful, except for some of the people that were associated with the administration. Not necessarily Donald Trump himself, because his efforts, to believe it or not, actually made an impact. It was some of the people that he was surrounded by that were giving him bad advice, that were using unproductive talking points. Somebody specifically with the initials C and O. Okay, draw your own conclusions and so on. However, that methodology didn't work. It didn't work because you cannot insult somebody as you're asking them to support you. Okay, you cannot ask for somebody to come and side with you and join your party. And the issue is, when you're making the pitch to people, you cannot make the pitch based on party first. You can't do the my party versus your party. You can't do the red versus blue, friggin' Bloods versus Crips. All the political gangbangery is not necessary. Make the issue based on, listen to what they're saying. You listen to what they're asking you for, what they're asking you to do for them, what they describe as their problems. And instead of arguing with them and telling them that their problems are not valid, or that they're not real problems, or that they're wrong about what they experience, you cannot argue and say, well, my experience is different than yours, so your experience doesn't exist. Because the fact is, I live in New Hampshire. I cannot argue with my cousin in Texas and tell him what he experienced yesterday is not real. All right? We don't live in the same place. I wasn't there to witness it. I can't tell him that it didn't happen. But that's commonly something that we do. All right? You make the pitch based on, all right, you tell me your problems, and I will offer ideas and solutions and how they work within conservative principles. And then if they like the ideas and solutions and the principles that you've espoused, and I mean original principles, not party line, I mean principles, because politicians and parties can adhere to a principle or not adhere to a principle. The parties don't decide the principles of conservatism. They adhere to them to varying degrees. Okay? Principles are constant. That's why they're principles. Then after the person, if they agree with the solutions, then okay, that's great. Ask them for their vote as a candidate or whatever. The last thing you should be asking them for, if they're willing to vote for you, then you ask whether or not they'd like to join the party. If they're not willing to vote for you, then you go, that's fine. Okay. Don't get in a debate with them. There are people whose mind you can't change, and And there are people whose minded you can. There are people who you can reach out to. There are people that you can't. You cannot reach out to a Marxist about capitalism, and a Marxist cannot reach out to a capitalist about Marxism. That's not how it works. There are people who you can move forward with and have conversations with. The majority of the country is actually pretty moderate, and we can have reasonable, logical discussions with each other on the 80 to 90% that we actually agree with each other, and then we can differ on the 10%. Okay, and a lot of the 10% is actually a lot less. It's more about that 10 to 20% is actually more about how you phrase and how your tactics to go about solving an issue is where we also differ on a lot of things. Okay, and you have to know based on who you're talking to what tactic to solve a solution is going to be welcoming or agreeable to that individual or that group. So I went through the stimulus bill so far. I went through briefly my candidacy, outreaching to people, and Kimberly Klasick's absolutely dismal comment on Twitter. I gotta say, I also forgot, at Julian ACR Blue Collar Intellectual on Parler as well. You can look me up on Parler. I just got Parler. I'm not on there a whole lot, but I'm going to start posting on there and a couple other stuff. I also just got an Instagram, which still don't get it, but whatever. And I got apparel, which I'll post that link in a little bit. All right, so moving forward, Coach Felicia Killings, founder of the Conscious Conservative Network. You have Sonny Johnson, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on SiriusXM Patriot, channel 125. She's on 1 to 3. I call in every weekend. She's absolutely spectacular. She's one of the thought leaders in this movement. You have Maj Toure, founder of Black Guns Matter. He's out teaching firearms, weapons and safety, and firearm ownership to communities all across America, particularly Black communities, trying to increase gun ownership in that space. Another great mention, Killer Mike just helped found a Greenwood, a Black-owned bank, which I think is absolutely spectacular. It's getting a lot of play right now. That's great. In this next round, we're going to need new candidates. Many of the candidates that ran in this last round, there are some great candidates that were not picked up by the GOP, and they ran great campaigns, and they have not stepped on their toes, and they plan on running again. That's fantastic. I will be one of those candidates that will be running in this next round. And then there are many other candidates like Kimberly Klasick, which most likely will not have a chance at winning in this next round because they shot themselves in the foot with their rhetoric in this round. Okay, statements like what she made yesterday cannot continue and is largely counterproductive towards this movement that we're in right now. That being said, we have a pivot that we need to make. We need to ditch every single unproductive talking point that we had in this last round, and many of them were unproductive. So don't take it personally. I know you were told that they were great and that you should use them, and the fact is the people that told you that lied to you. Okay? The people that told you that shit lied to you. And they deserve your ire. They deserve your anger. And right now, many of those people are threatening to leave the party and build their own party. And I'm not against that. I'm not against that. If you want to build a party, I think more parties are a good thing. Um, I would caution you to understand that the Democrats are going to stay the party that they are. They are going to stay right where they are. They're not moving. They're not changing. They're not going anywhere. Okay? And while it seems like it would be such a spectacular idea to it seems like a spectacular idea to go and make your own damn party or whatever and just screw the Republican Party. And I understand the anger and everything that uh, that everybody is talking about with this. I don't see it as being a viable continuous option if you actually seek to save the country from the left. Okay, if you actually seek to change things and you actually want to save the country from the left, and you actually want to do something different, and that's not going to help you. It's just not. Making a third party right now is not. I'm sorry, but it's not the time for that. This is like a rally the wagons sort of scenario. These people are offering unsound advice, and I have just as much disdain for them trying to break up the party and being as ridiculous as they are. And I'm not a party guy. I'm a principles guy. But many of the people who are talking about trying to tear down the party and screw everybody if we don't get what we want, they base their entire idea of conservatism on a single man. Donald Trump could not do it all alone. Many people let him into office. They voted him into office and then just backed up and were like, hey, you know what? You got it. We put you there. That's what we do. And that's the apathetic nature to conservatism. And I despise apathy. I really do. With my core, I despise apathy. It was a very unproductive move and a very counterproductive thing to put people into power and then just back up and be like, all right, you're good. Go do your thing. We're not going to pay attention. We're going to let you get walked all over. We're not going to make the rest of the party work with you. We're just going to sit in our own little echo chambers and complain. So now we saw that didn't work. Now we saw that we're going to have to do something different. And I say there is a large contingency of very, very conservative people right now that want to see something different. They want to see something completely different than what we've been offered. And I think it is absolutely spectacular and very, very interesting that right now, the three people that agreed on not voting for this COVID-19 relief bill that we had today was actually Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massie, and Tulsi Gabbard. Amazing. Because Thomas Massie, if I remember correctly, is the only libertarian in Congress. I could be wrong on that, or he might be one of two libertarians in Congress. Tulsi Gabbard being a Democrat, and then Matt Gaetz being a Republican, and yet they all three agreed on this stimulus bill being absolute shit, and largely for the exact same reasons. Many other people echoed their complaints against it, including Rand Paul, who didn't vote for it, and AOC, who did vote for it. AOC's gripe was that she didn't have a chance to read the whole damn thing, but she still voted for it. So, screw you for pretending to stand on principle. So, I'm sure that there will be some more information for me to do some more information, some more topics for us to do this podcast on tomorrow. I will definitely hop on and do something for you guys tomorrow, and I'll go a little bit more in depth into a couple different issues and talk strategy. And pretty soon I'll be coming up with a stream, and this one will be focused on my campaign upcoming in this next election for New Hampshire's 1st congressional district. And I'll be going over my platform and my ideas and how I plan to run my campaign and the type of positions I take and where I think that we can do better and the type of messaging that I think is necessary to be able to move forward. Okay. I only want to do a short episode tonight. I have a couple upcoming guests. I will eventually be posting if you're on the Blue Collar Intellectual Facebook page or the Blue Collar Intellectual Twitter page or Instagram, and I'll mention it, but I'll be putting a schedule out of the different topics and conversations and guests that we're going to have on the show, and hopefully have everything planned out. So I'll be doing probably 3 to 4 episodes a week, possibly 5, depending on what is going on, how fast the news cycles are going, and what major events are occurring. I'm sure these next couple years are going to be very, very interesting. Again, I still hear that there's legal challenges. I just don't think any of them are going to be successful. And you can hate me for it. You can love me for it. Go cry a fucking river. I don't give a shit. Again, when I run my campaign, I'm be exactly the same person that all of you have met and know, and the same way that I am on every platform, the same type of conversation. All right. So God bless, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. Add me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on Parler too. You can just look up Julian Aciard on Parler. So have a great night. I am the Blue Collar Intellectual. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. And here is our closing out.
And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door.
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.